What up, what up, what up, what up? It's your boy P. Skip. Welcome to the best half hour of your entire Tuesday. You know what time it is. It's time to get into his course. My squad with me, T-Mac.
Hola.
Chili Will.
Gracias, amigos.
Let's do this. So listen, let me read the scripture to y'all. James chapter 2, verse 13 in the New Living Translation says this. There will be no mercy for those who have not shown mercy to others. But if you have been merciful, God will be merciful when he judges you. And I said that because here we're dealing with this Kyrie Irving situation. And Kyrie still hasn't had a definitive, you ain't suspended anymore, even though you fulfilled the all the 6 things that they told you to do. Apologize. Well, he didn't condemn the film, but he did apologize. He donated $500,000, completed sensitivity training, completed anti-Semitism training, met with the ADL and the Jewish leaders, and met with team owner Joe Tsai, as well as Adam Silver. And both Adam Silver and Joe Tsai said he is not anti-Semitic. But they still haven't put him back on the court. So my question becomes, how is Kyrie still being kept off the court, and he fulfilled everything he said? But I also remember that they said he would be suspended a minimum of 6 games. They didn't say that was the end of it. They did say a minimum of 6 games. But what I don't like is just doing the same thing they're doing with Ime Udoka. When is the end? You get to determine when the end is. There is no set penalty or set end date to my purgatory. When does that stop? And when do we get to a place where we say, okay, you've paid your dues. Now come back and let's move forward. But there doesn't seem to be any of that. It just seems to be like, well, we'll figure that out when we figure that out. It doesn't seem like they're in a rush to reinstate him. And it doesn't seem like they're in a rush to allow him, because you can say, okay, well, he's back with the team, he's practicing, but he won't be playing for the next 3 games or whatever. You could say that, but they ain't saying none of that. They ain't saying he's practicing with him. They ain't saying he's playing. He was supposed to play on Sunday against the Memphis Grizzlies. That was supposed to be the end of his suspension, but has he been practicing?
Well, he couldn't practice because they was on a West Coast trip. And according to what I read, he was not on the trip with them. So he couldn't have been practicing.
Right. So the question is then when is he back? Is he now allowed to practice with the team? Now that they may be back home, and then he gets to play, then he'll play the next game after that, or he needs 2 weeks to get ready? I mean, what does that mean? What do you think, Will?
I do think it's a lot of ambiguity in this. And it's unfortunate that Wait.
Well, I'm so proud of you using words like ambiguity.
I've been around Tim for a couple of years now.
It's rubbing off on him.
It's rubbing off on me. Hey, I talk to my kids. They say, you acting like Mr. McMurtry.
That's funny.
Hey, but it's just the uncertainty is just, that part right there is kind of like a little unnerving for me. A person would like to know what their fate is. It's just very, very unfair that whoever they is, are in a position where they can do this, where they can just keep you in limbo and keep you all suspended up in midair until they decide to put your feet back on the ground. It's something that's a little cruel and unusual punishment to me in that. I think that Kyrie probably has learned a lot from this. But I think a lot of people have learned a lot from this. Some of the other players in the league, some of the other owners, the fans, people have found out that, you know what, sometimes when you think things are getting a whole lot better and moving in a certain direction, that may not necessarily be the case across the board. And this is one of those situations where there is someone who's in control. There is a puppet master. There is somebody who has the final say. And regardless of what's right and what's fair and what's wrong, what they say is what is going to be. And that's just unfortunate.
Yeah. And to me, it's like the old Lakeside song. I ain't got no bells to ring. Girl, you got to pull my string. They just pulling the strings all over the place, bro.
Hey, it's unfortunate too, because we like watching Kyrie play, and he made a mistake and he apologized for his mistake. And why this is lingering like this is beyond me. It's just really an unfortunate situation. It doesn't look good for the NBA.
And again, and I'll let you go, Tim. Again, I say this, you have heard nothing, absolutely nothing from the players union or any player reps. Nothing concerning this. Nothing that you're going, hey, you can't be leaving him in limbo like that. Nobody stepped up and said anything. And it's sad to me. It really is sad. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I think on that last point, I think that there have been some chirpings from the NBA Players Association. I know Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics, I think he has a post of, VP or vice president, some standing within the organization. He's had a couple of, comments that he's made indicating that, hey, Kyrie has done the apology. He's met all of the criteria. There needs to be some sort of closure to this. So I think that there is starting to be some level of groundswell. To your point, they had been, crickets up to this point, the last week or so. But in the last 3 or 4 days, they've made comments that seem to be along the lines of, hey, we can't go ahead and continue with the cruel and unusual punishment for an indefinite period of time. We understand that he had to be suspended for at least 5 games. That has come and gone. He seems to have rectified the situation, paid his penance. Now it's time for him to come on back. There could also be a couple of other, maybe, fine print conversations that Kyrie is having with ownership with regards to the next time. I think that some of what has happened is the owner, Joe Tsai, had probably been talked to and had his, coattails pulled by some people that are close to him, people that he respects and trusts, that have maybe said some things along the lines of, hey, man, are you running the team or is Kyrie running the team? Based on not just this latest episode, but the track record and history over the past couple of years of Kyrie's inconsistent participation with the team, leaving for a leave of absence without giving any advance notice, a whole vaccine fiasco, and other things. It's been kind of like, well, hey, man, is this your team or just his team? And I think as a way to show those individuals that, hey, I am in control. The buck does stop with me. I am the owner. I have the final say. Let me go ahead and show you. But he kind of did an overreach and now is trying to retract that. So as a way to mitigate that and do some additional damage control, it's like, well, hey, Kyrie, we're going to lift this suspension because we have heard reports from ESPN and others that the suspension has been lifted, to your point, Pastor Skip, but they haven't given us a definitive date or which game he's going to actually play in, but they're just saying now he's eligible to play. So that's a de facto way of saying, hey, the suspension has been satisfied. Now I believe there are some fine-tuned things that are going on offline where the owner is saying, look, bruh, the next time you breach trust, the next time you do something that we deem is out of order, this is what the penalty is going to be. Do I have your full understanding and cooperation with that? And I think some of those finer things are being kind of played out. Now, Kyrie, the player, still is box office, must-see TV, excellent player. I think he's still, those of us who are basketball aficionados appreciate what he brings to the table, and we miss him off the court, want to see him back. doing his magicianship, if you will, on the court, razzle dazzling with the best handles in the game, as well as contributing to, Brooklyn. The other thing I'll say as a sidebar, and I'll wrap up with this, is the team has been, kind of playing well. I think they might have a winning record, without him. The chemistry seems to be there. Kevin Durant seems to not be the worst for Kyrie's absence and is even taking on more of a leadership role. People have kind of clearly defined pecking orders. Kevin Durant is the top of the mountain. The rest of y'all are support. Get in where you fit in and give him the support. If Jacque Vaughn can continue to put this hodgepodge of a team together and they play with the competitive nature that they have, less of the mysterious, enigmatic drama surrounding the team, hey, Kyrie might be moved before the end of the season and may not finish his playing days this season in Brooklyn. So there are a lot of subplots to the suspension, that being the main situation that's going on. But there have been some other things that have kind of, come out of the woodwork since this suspension, including the play of the team, Jacque Vaughn being able to take the reins finally. I thought he should have got the job originally, even before Steve Nash, at least given a shot. And they're doing some things. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to Kyrie getting back on the court whenever that is. But there are a couple of different things surrounding the Nets ball club. And even when Kyrie gets back, I don't think that's going to be the end of, quote unquote, the story surrounding the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, this is like reading a novel with no ending. It's just a never-ending story. I'm like, even a person in prison or jail knows when parole comes up. They know when their time is served. To keep them at a place where we'll tell you when your time is served, even though you've met all the criteria, we don't know yet. We don't know yet. And it'd be different if they're going, well, we're sitting you because of, like you said, Tim, we looking to move you. We're trying to move you right now. And you got an ending contract? Because this is last year with last year with his contract with Brooklyn, right?
Yep, it
he's
is.
very movable.
They said, though, that he'd have to cut you off. They did say that he is eligible to play. To me, I'm interpreting that as, hey, the suspension is over with.
Right.
If you don't play today, tomorrow, your next 2 or 3 games, it ain't because of the suspension. There's some other ancillary things that are going on that have not been made public with limited disclosure that we ain't hip to that are going on. But as far as the suspension is concerned, when a Joker say you are eligible to play, that means suspension has sunset.
Right. Yeah. Whew. Well, let's keep it moving, y'all. Zion Williams is injured again. This time he has a
Hold on. Didn't we put a wager on who we thought was going to be injured first? Didn't we wager that it was going to be
AD,
Zion? It was a couple other people, Chris Paul. Right. It was a couple of what's my guy from Malcolm Brogdon,
right.
and the other guy from Bradley Beal. And guess what, y'all? And Kyrie,
all of them hurt.
All of them hurt. Kawhi Leonard, all of the ones who we listed been hurt.
Yes, sir.
All of them.
Yes, sir. True to form, Doc. True to form.
But you tend to wonder, what is it? Because you have more technology, you have better trainers, more access to more things to keep you healthy. And it seems like these guys are injured more than the guys from the 70s and the 80s. And you're bigger and you're stronger. And so I don't understand it, but as great as Zion seems to be, is he the new Odin? Is he going to turn out to be a Sam Bowie? A guy that stays injured and not going to fulfill his contract. The sad part about it is Memphis has put all their chips in. They all in with their chips with him. Because they just gave him what? Like $200 million?
Orleans, 245. 245.
They gave him max contract for a guy who's been out on the court less than a year in 3 years. He has played less than a full season, you know, and so once again, teams will pay more for potential than reality. You know, so I'm just I don't know, you know. Y'all know I was very skeptical of him coming out of college. You know, I was the main one saying, I don't know. I don't think his game translates to the league. And it seems like his body can't translate to the league. You know, he's lost weight, but but let me say this though. This was a freak accident. You went up to dunk and got your dunk blocked and then came down funny on your hip. I get that. You know, I get that. But that's just another stack on what's already there of the history of you being injured. You know, so I don't know. You know, what do y'all think with this, man? Do you think he's going to be injury prone?
I like Zion. I don't think there's anything to worry about. I think the team invested the $245 million in him after they had already got CJ McCollum and after Brandon Ingram had a couple of, you know, NBA All-Star seasons, which means that they believe that they're going to get a return on the investment and that the injuries that he's had thus far are not enough to sour them on him and his potential. He's still only about 21, 22 years old. He has a tremendous upside. And I think one of the major differences between him, Brandon Roy, Greg Oden, Sam Bowie, all those guys had a history of being injured in their lower extremity and their legs coming into the league, and the league was just hoping for the best. Zion, other than his blowing out his shoe at North Carolina, didn't have a history of being injured. He's been an Iron Man from high school, his 1 year of college, and he, you know, went to the pros and had those little pieces in those first 2 years. I think some of that also was the management of the New Orleans front office. Now that Willie Green is the coach there, it's kind of got like a father figure type deal. I think Zion making the commitment to the game, losing the weight that he did shows that he is committed. And the extent of these two injuries that he's had, I think he's out now with like a foot injury. One was that block dunk with the hip, which was a freak piece that you just talked about, Pastor Skip. The other one was he was driving and stepped on somebody's foot. We see that almost every game in the NBA, and it does not necessarily end anybody's career. So despite the fact that he has been injured a couple times this year, I think the extent of those injuries and their severity being limited don't pretend themselves to be something that's career threatening, but more of, okay, my man is getting a couple of bad breaks, literally and figuratively. As he plays through these things, as he demonstrates his durability, if he can give them 60 to 70 games this year, another 60 to 70 games next year, there could be some additional things that he can do with regards to taking care of oneself, that, as he's already showed a commitment to being willing to do, that will continue to help him to be a long-term threat in the league. And as we've seen, when he can play a full year, the 1 year that he did play in his short career thus far, he averaged 27 points a game. He shot 61% from the field, and he went to the All-Star. So he is an All-Star. Ain't no question about whether he can play. Does this game translate to the NBA? Yeah, it's All-Star level. Not only does it translate, he's one of the better players in the NBA. And if we can get past these little nooks and crannies, these little nagging setbacks, if you will, I think we'll be able to see a very, very long-term successful career that will be able to further put some of the critics that were early skeptics to rest, because his body of work will have demonstrated that it was worth the investment by the New Orleans Pelicans to grab him and pay him all that bread.
And I agree with you 100%. I think he's worth it. I think he has shown to be worthy of it. When he's on the court, he is a spectacular talent. He plays hard. He doesn't cheat the game. He seems to have the right type of personality and persona as far as the general public is concerned. I don't see him doing anything to himself. I mean, you know, he doesn't have a history of having a wild private life or anything like that. I think some of this stuff was due to the weight and the age. I think once he turns 22 years old and his body is kind of grown into the size, and his body catches up with the speed of the NBA game, I think so is my hope and my prayer that'll all be behind him and he'll be able to move forward. The New Orleans Pelicans have a really good team. They have a really good, talented team, and they can beat anybody in the league, I think. So from a talent standpoint, they have put together something special. They have that one young guy that's on their team, the rookie that they got not this year, last year. He's very, very talented. He's coming along really good. Like
Troy
you said,
Murphy Jr., the third.
Huh?
Troy Murphy the third.
Yes. Yeah. He looks like he's going to fit right in to what they're trying to do, and that his chemistry is perfect for what they're trying to do. The coach, we got a lot of confidence in the coach. The general manager is somebody who has proven throughout the league that he has been able to assemble talent and coaching and take his team all the way to the pinnacle. So they have everything in place. I think hopefully after this episode, we can see him on the court on a regular basis. I know, Tim, you mentioned 60 games this year, 60 games next year. I would like to see him playing much more than that, because I would like to see them go into at least the second round of the playoffs. So if I could get 75 regular season games from him, and then he go into the playoffs and get a couple of games, that would be something that I think would be good for the NBA as a league, but it also would be great for us as basketball connoisseurs. I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I speak for all of us. We enjoy watching Zion play.
All facts.
Yeah.
No, we're not speaking for all of us.
Oh.
To be honest, I'm still figuring out what Zion is. I'm still trying to figure out, okay, do you have any go-to moves? Still trying to figure it out. I don't dislike watching him, but he's not, Zion's playing, I'm going to watch. There I'm not.
Yeah, there I am. Because the other night, Ja Morant and Zion was supposed to play against each other, and that's when they announced that he was hurt again. Man, I just was so disappointed, man, because I just wanted to see them two old childhood friends, AAU teammates, be on the court going against each other, putting on a show. So it was disappointing to me.
Yeah. Well, moving forward, y'all. So the Bucks are shopping around Grayson Allen. What do you think of it, and what do you think, if they're trading him, what they should get for him, or who would you like to see that's reasonable? Yes, there's our fantasy of what we want, but the reality of what we can get for him, what do you think?
Well, I'm gonna go on record as saying this again. Mm-hmm. What the Bucks have been missing for the last maybe 5 or 6 years is a player that we can give the ball to and get the heck up out of their way. Right. Now, I think if we can get somebody like that, that's young and has that potential, or somebody who's aging and is proven for Grayson Allen, I think that'll be a great investment for us. He's making good money, but he's not making ridiculous money. And I've lost all confidence and faith in Grayson Allen as a season ticket holder. I watch how he plays and the things that he do on the court, and I just think he doesn't have the heart. I mean, I've said this to the people who sit around me. He's not an NBA player. He's just not. He's not good enough to be in the NBA. And I think that we need to salvage whatever we can for him. It would be my hope if we got maybe a young guy. I would prefer a young guy who could maybe, because Giannis is he's just not getting close to his prime. Someone that we could have for the next 3-4 years that could eventually be that guy that we can give to, and he can get a bucket on his own. We haven't had that in such a long time, probably since I thought Malcolm Brogdon was probably the last person that we had that was close to that caliber. So that's what we need. That's what we should be seeking. If we can get that, I think the Bucks would be a tough out for anybody in the league.
Yeah. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised by the Bucks play without, key personnel such as Chris Middleton. And I would echo Will's sentiments on Grayson Allen. I think that if we could get rid of him and in exchange, get a player that can create his own shot, that would be terrific to complement, the monster that Giannis is and has been. I think another opportunity for us, if we fall short of being able to get a player that can create his own shot on a consistent basis, if we can exchange Grayson Allen for some deadly sharp shooters, if we can get some reliable jokers that Giannis can dribble, draw, dish, and kick out to, one or two of them that are just money from the outside, I think that also creates challenges for the defenses, and they won't be able to wall him in, and that will create additional weapons for us. So I'm cool with the flexibility of either trying to shop Grayson for the create your own shot kind of guy who can get us a bucket at will, or one or two players that are above average outside shooters that are designated gunners. I think either of those combinations will put us in a very, very favorable position, provided that Chris Middleton comes back and is at least 95% of the Chris Middleton that he was before going down last year in the playoffs, to help us make another strong run at the finals this year.
And let me just add this, Skip. Just give me a second. Let me just add this. We're talking about this like we know we're going to be able to move Grayson Allen. We may not be able to move Grayson Allen because it's not like we're moving a hell of a commodity. What we see, other teams see also. So my suggestion would be to move Connaughton into that starting position and put Grayson Allen with that second unit. If we did that, that also might help us because he may play better on that second unit. He may just be, you know, the stage might be too big and the lights might be too bright for him to be out there with those all-star caliber players. Speaking of all-star caliber players, Brook Lopez is showing himself to be an all-star caliber big man in the league this year. So that would be our fallback position if we can't move him. That's what I would like to see happen.
Well, for me, and I agree with everything being said. Definitely, Brook has been putting up numbers. You know, I thought usually a back injury, the history of back injuries has been ruining careers. That's been the end of your career, a la Charles Barkley, a la Larry Bird. But for me, Grayson Allen, I think we may get more bang for our buck if we packaged him with Wes, get Wes out of here, and Wes Matthews, and as well as George Hill. I think if we packaged up those three, we might be able to get either the deadly sharpshooter we're looking for or the guy who can get his own shot. I think that way we may be able to do it, but I think nobody is looking at an even exchange for Grayson Allen and anybody. You know, so and whatever other piece somebody, because we do have some sharp shooters coming back. We do have some good shooters coming back. When Chris comes back, when Ingles starts being able to play.
And Connaughton is a pretty good shooter too.
And Connaughton too, right. So we'll have at least three around him. Now, if we get a fourth around Giannis, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. And let us not forget, Brook has been deadly.
Yeah, all-star caliber-ish.
Right, yeah, Brook has been deadly too. So,
well, let me add this to the mix too.
Yeah.
TJ, I think his name is TJ Green. It's the rookie that we got from Northern Iowa.
That's injured.
Yeah, he can straight shoot the basketball. Now, I don't know what kind of heart he has, but as far as being a deadly shooter, that he is. So the jury is still out on him. Maybe we need to send him to the G League and let him get a couple of reps in. But if he can come in and he got heart, because that's what's missing for me for Grayson Allen. He has the physical ability to be good. I mean, he's athletic. He can jump high. I mean, he do all that stuff. He just don't have the confidence level that you need in this league.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, listen, another great show. Meet us back here, same bat time, same bat channel for the number one faith-based sports talk show in the entire world, Into His Court. Until next week, have an amazing week. Peace.
Bam.